All right, so while watching one of my favorite YouTubers, Dwayne, on Retired 500K, it occurred to me in watching that video that we might be scaring people into not retiring when they can, because we talk so much about the planning, but planning is only, part of being able to retire. If you try to plan for every single thing that can go wrong, you may end up just freezing and never retiring and saying, oh my God, I've got to have $5–10 million to retire. When in all actuality, you probably don't. Now, can things go wrong? Sure, they can go wrong. But you know what? You got to be adaptable, and you've got to adjust your plan to those new circumstances. So some of the things that can really go wrong, if you have a government pension or something like that, some kind of pension, pensions can fail. Now, there's a government program that kind of insures that pension, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get the full amount of that pension if that pension does fail. So pensions fail, I'm subject to that. I don't have a big pension, but part of my income is my pension. Other things are, the stock market can crash and it can take a long time to rebound. And while you're drawing money out of there, you're kind of double dipping, and that's not a good thing. You can have health problems that can really take a big bite out of your retirement, and other things like divorce. A divorce can devastate a retirement. If you're already in retirement and you get divorced and you have to split those assets, that can be a big thing. So any of those things can really kind of wreck your plan, but you got to be adaptable. You can't just say, well, I've got to have double the amount of money that I think I need just in case I get divorced or something happens. It would be great if you can, but most of us, when we get started in planning our retirement, we set that goal and we have that amount of money, and that's what we're going to have. And unless we're going to work another 10 or 15 years until we're 70, we got to make some adjustments if life happens. I'll say it that way, if life happens. So one thing that I did when I was getting ready to retire and all these what ifs kept coming up was I thought about, okay, well, I've been in my career for 24 years. So what would happen tomorrow if I lost my job? And you know what? That's reality for a lot of folks. That's the reason a lot of folks end up retiring, is because they lose their job later in life and, they just can't find another job to replace that income. So they end up having to retire and having what they call a bridge retirement, where they have to work part-time and draw some of their other retirement at the same time to make ends meet. So I thought about it that way. Well, what if I were to lose my job tomorrow? What would I have to do? And I figured out, well, I wouldn't have to do a bridge retirement. I could go ahead and retire. And that made me feel a whole lot better about it. So think about it that way. What adjustments would you have to make if you lost your income today, or if something happened to you today? What adjustments would you have to make? And would you be willing to sacrifice, or could you sacrifice enough to make it in the situation that you're in right now? So probably the biggest sacrifice I would need to make right now, if something were to, kind of catastrophically go wrong, is I would have to go ahead and go work part-time. And, is it worth being able to retire at 61 rather than 66 or 67, to gain those extra years that I may have to go back to work part-time a few months a year? Yeah, for me it was. Luckily, as long as everything's going along all right, I don't have to go back to work, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I haven't even started taking Social Security yet, so I've still got that leg of my stool that's still coming up. So anyway, you got to be adaptable and think about it from that aspect. How would you change? What would change in your life if a big event happened while you were in retirement? Now, the other thing I did in my retirement plan, and I have two retirement plans. I have one with my financial advisor, and I have the Bolden or the old new retirement. That doesn't sound right. Anyway, the new retirement software, which is now Boldon, I have that as well. Now, in both those models, I built in, poor market returns, higher inflation, and I put in some one-time expenses like buying a new car, having to do a major repair on my home, something like that. I put a few of those in there every few years just to kind of compensate. So you definitely want to build in a cushion, and a good financial advisor will help you build those cushions in there, and they'll probably be a little more conservative, or that's what I found anyway, is my financial advisor's plan is quite a bit more conservative than the Boldon plan is. So it's good to have at least a couple of different lenses looking at your retirement plan, but you do want to build in some cushion. You just don't want to take it and say, I think I need double, because you're going to end up working till you're, 67 or 70. That's just going to take years off of your life. So anyway, I personally, I'm glad that I retired in my early 60s and that I was able to make it work. So the other thing that's going to make you feel a little bit better, when you do use a fiduciary fee-only financial advisor to build your plan, or you use the Boldon software, it's going to have what's called the Monte Carlo simulation. And the Monte Carlo basically takes 1,000 or 10,000 different scenarios of your retirement plan, and it graphs it out. And it gives you a percentage or a probability of success. And I personally, both of mine are above 90%, and I'm good with that. So, you can take that, and that should make you feel a little bit better, I would think, having that Monte Carlo. Now, if your Monte Carlo's down around 60, 65%, yeah, you may just have to work longer. But once you reach that 85 to 90%, that's when I think anyway, it's time to start looking at it and say, well, what's my risk, of going ahead and retiring now? Anyway, I hope this video's helped you, and I hope you've gotten something out of it. And if you have, please reach down, hit that like button, and watch this video next.